let me acknowledge the presence of friends and new acquaintances on the podium, and many my own colleagues from Niti Aayog and representatives from elsewhere in South Asia. Um, Let me just start by saying that it's been a year for me at Niti. I was fortunate that in that year, um, physical events have started to become possible again after a long drought. But 1 year is not enough to know the full range of Niti's activities and commitments, and therefore it was only in preparation for this event that I became aware of the central role of NITI as part of this initiative. I say this initiative because, frankly, the whole cascading of alphabet soup in this area is such that I'm not quite sure what initiative we're talking about here. But NITI is glad to be part of it. Anyway, second, I came to energy via my stewardship of an Indian think tank, the National Council of Applied Economic Research. And those were as it were, the budding days of global concern for climate change. I was at NCAR when the Copenhagen summit COP took place, and we know that was a nascent moment in the world's realization and journey uh, towards recognizing the seriousness of the mitigation and adaptation challenges that um, resulted, amongst other things, or an awareness of both the energy security issues and the mitigation issues, led me to accept the job as chief economist of Shell, and to do work on Indian energy uh, um, from Shell. That then led me to this tenure at the Wilson Center, which of course is based in the Ronald Reagan building, which is where USAID has its headquarters. And that's also where I came across Charlie Ebinger, who at Brookings had been arguing for a long time that South Asia's energy future lay in regional integration. So these ideas of the need for other reasons, but accentuated by, as it were, the green transition, for there to be regional integration of energy systems across South Asia, goes back at least a dozen years. But it's good to, as it were, see it provided uh, expression over here. Now, I've just returned from a speaking tour in the United States, and Jeff Pyatt, who used to be, I believe, at the here at the time of Bob Blake, he reached out to me, and he's in the State Department, basically making the point that as we consider uh, uh, critical technologies, the issue of the supply chain for renewables might also form part of the discussion on uh, what does ISET stand for again? Critical and emerging technologies. To my knowledge, as of now, energy is not part of it, but I'm not speaking now as a representative of the government, but just to say that the issue of collaborating on green technologies, this is, of course, in a bilateral setting, not necessarily in a regional setting, is something that I think should underpin the relationship between India and the United States. But this then links the to Sage 2, as I understand it, which is that at the end of the day, the fundamental research on dealing with both the technologies and, as it were, the challenges, particularly grid challenges, uh, that are involved as the share of renewables rise, is very much cutting edge research that the energy laboratories are going to be undertaking. And much in the way that I that we went down the cost curves with solar, first by feed-in tariffs in Germany, and then after that, uh, the production incentives, such as they were in China. I'm certain that the investment that takes place in the US under the Inflation Reduction Act will be a very important spur to pushing us down cost curves in not only renewable technologies, but also grid management, the issue of batteries that Ajay Mathur raised. And I would have hoped that India would be part of the transmission mechanism of some of that learning, including through private investment into the region. Finally, let me say, because I think my allotted time is 10 minutes, that Niti is um, charged with looking at important initiatives like the green transition in a holistic way, which is to say, not just technology and not just uh, en- uh, the supply side of clean energy, but the whole complex of technology, finance, but also regulation and behavior. And I think that uh, I need to understand better whether those softer dimensions of the green transition would also be comprehended by initiatives such as this. I've been um, I should also perhaps at this point mention that while this conference is about uh, our engagement cross-boundary, Niti has an yeah, a more fundamental role in thinking about the energy transition at the level of India's states. And so, therefore, refracting from the learnings of this and other groups to what that means in terms of state by state transition strategies, in terms of employment strategies, in terms of fiscal strategies, that is part of a much larger enterprise, but where, as I visited US campuses, there's a lot of work going on. So I just wanted to say that this is one part of a much larger engagement, I think, between US academia, US labs, US think tanks, and the Indian and indeed regional establishment. And I, I would just commit Niti to being very actively engaged in all of that. With that, let me thank you for including NITI as part of these various government pillars. Thank my colleagues for cooperating with AID and other parts of the US government, and let me wish the event every success. Thank you.